Well, hello everyone. I'm Mary Teresa Duggan, and I'm a trained teacher, a certified breath practitioner, and the author of a book titled Miracles, the Magic of Life, showing how the power of the breath can transform anything that you want to change in your life, whether it's relationships, health, money, spiritual awareness, meditation, inspiring you to live and radiate your own truth, to live and radiate your divinity. And you know, I have here with me today Joanne Justis. Now, Joanne is one of two Chaldean master numerologist experts in the world. With an amazing number of resources, you will find assistance in whatever area of your life you want to work on, and you will feel very confident with her expertise. Being a spiritual intuitive all her life, we would dearly love to hear from Joanna herself. So now I have the great pleasure and joy to introduce Joanne Justis.
Well, thank you for having me as a guest.
Lovely to meet you and have you here, Joanne. And Joanne, with all your experiences and your expertise and your work with people, what does it mean to you when you hear the words fullness of life?
Okay, I think it can mean a lot of different things, but to me in particular, when you have fully achieved that time in your life where you have overcome your challenges and can activate your true inherent qualities through self-discovery to transform your life from where you were to what you desire by unlocking your full potential. What that means is you have to go through an obstacle course in this lifetime to get through the obstacle course, and when you master all of that, you get a check mark in the box, and the only place to go is to go home, or fullness in life, because you have completed that aspect of your life. So the rest of it should be smooth sailing, and it should be at a point in time where you feel like motivating, inspiring people, you have something to say to people, and it's a great spot to be in.
That is an amazing answer. Thank you, Joanne. So was there ever a period of time in your life when you didn't feel that fullness of life?
Oh, yes. Let me make this clear. I am no different than you or anyone else. My life started at 9 years old when my father passed. We were not prepared for it. My mom was a widow with 4 little girls. At that time, Social Security paid benefits to the deceased parents, not spouse. They took my mom 5 years in Congress to change that law. So I became an adult at age 9, and I made a lot of mistakes because I was running the household, and a little girl can't run a household. So the reason I love my work is because when people come to me and say, how could you possibly understand where I have been? And I said, are you kidding me? Here's my rap sheet. This is where I've been. I am no different than you. I've had to work through all these obstacles. I love where I am because I'm close to, not there yet, fullness in my life, because I have some more things to accomplish before I can put a check mark in the box and say, okay, I'm really, really there. But the beautiful part of all of my experiences, Mary, is all of the people that come to me on a one-on-one basis, I can help them in such a way. I take them into the control panel, turn up the light and say, okay, let's break down all of your characteristics and components. Let's explain each of them, some of them are impulsive, some of them are aggressive, some of them are not aggressive. And if you have some aggressive characteristics with non-aggressive characteristics, they don't like each other. They're in conflict. So you start, stop, start, stop. I have many people coming to me that saying, I hate my corporate job. I want to be a healer. And I say, oh, please don't do that yet. You need the driver to take you where you need to go that brings in the income until you have the funds and you're in a position because you planned your escape while you were working to be able to transition into what you don't like into what you do like. It's very, very important to understand that, because if you cut and run, you'll get in fear mode, and fear mode closes all your doors down. Now, there are specifically, when I look at someone's blueprint, it tells everything I need to know about the individual, because in addition, I'm an intuitive and I channel. So you're going to get a lot more than some numbers or vibrations on the page. If someone tells me that they want to be an entrepreneur, because there's two mentalities. You can play it safe and be an employee, or you can be an entrepreneur and you can take the risk. Now, if you've always played it safe for whatever reason, it doesn't matter, because we need employees and we need entrepreneurs, because the entrepreneurs advance technology and then they turn it over to the employees who run the company. So we need both sets of the scale here. But if you think you're all ready to go, fired up, and you want to be an entrepreneur now, make all your money, and your components are not aggressive, and they're the companionship, and they require partnership along the way, you will not make it as an entrepreneur unless you have money backing you and people backing you. I'm not saying it's impossible. I haven't seen it too often, because the most important thing is where are those aggressive numbers? There are 9 positions in your blueprint. Having purpose is not enough. It's one of 9 components. You need to understand your intellect. You need to understand your emotions, your personality, your purpose, your midlife goal. What do you want to do the last half of your life? Your person years drive the frequency you're in for that particular year, and that changes yearly. And then we're all born with an obstacle course, emotional and physical obstacle course. You've got to get through that course. There's other things you come in to work on, but per se, my blueprints have age cycles. So you can look at the blueprint at any time in life and pick it up and say, am I on track or am I not on track? And it's amazing to me that how many people that come to me were working in other areas and didn't realize the most important development for everyone until they have overcome and developed this area is they avoid confrontation. So if you avoid confrontation, you become submissive, you become a target of manipulation, and you can't speak your truth. And that affects the relationship, that affects people you work with, that affects your family, that affects everything. So I am no different. I've had to go through I'm a fox. I had to fall into all these holes to figure out how to get out of it. I've outfoxed the fox to be where I am today. And I'm in a really good place to help a lot of people because I understand where you're coming from. There's no judgment. A lot of people call and they say, well, I'm afraid to tell you this and I'm embarrassed and all that. And I say, hey, there's no reason for embarrassment. We are all a student of life here for divine grooming, and therefore you choose your parents in this lifetime. You choose experiences, but you do have free will and choice. And everything as a child, how you're treated, whether you have great parents or abusive parents or whatever, everything gets triggered, your experiences from that childhood. And then you go into adulthood, and most young girls are not ready to fly yet when they leave the home. So they choose a partner. And if they come from an abusive environment, they're going to choose someone who's abusive until they get sick and tired of being sick and tired of that program. And that's when they fast track forward. So it's really complicated because if you look at all of our moving parts, now there's so many different characteristics. You can be so intellectual. The intellectual comes packaged with the hermit loner-like qualities. It's not a social number. And so this person is totally misunderstood because if they look intellectual and they act smart, people kind of back off because they don't know if this person's going to bite them or hug them. And then you've got the social beautiful butterfly that wants freedom and wants to express himself. But if they can't speak up, they don't utilize those characteristics. It's very important for everyone to understand what your blueprint looks like, just like an architectural drawing where you, before the building is even, or the house is even built, you can go through these layers and see what each of the rooms are going to look like, see the measurements to see what ultimately this beautiful home is going to look like. I don't know why people don't understand that we are all born with a blueprint. Your name and birth date inked onto the birth certificate, and your name spelled the way it is, regardless if there was a typo, is Program A. That's your full potential in this lifetime. When you change your name, even by one letter, you're altering the frequency. The only frequency that can change is what the name reveals. The name reveals your personal characteristics and traits and behavioral patterns. those can change because you can change your name. Your birth date, on the other hand, is your development area, which cannot ever change. You come in with those components, you go out with those components. So it's very, very important to know how you're wired from the inside out. When you work with a therapist, they work with you from the outside in. They take your puzzle board, turn the pieces upside down, move them around, and say, I have a program. I don't do that. I'm using Chaldean numerology, which is very specific. It's not just any old numerology. It's ancient. They can track it back to 4004 BCE, and that is October 23rd, and that is recorded going forward. We know it's prior to that, but our records start at that date. And this is based on sound and phonics, a derivative of the Hebrew alphabet. This is so dead on. It's amazing how magical this beautiful formula is. The Chaldees in the Babylonian days devised this. They were pre-scientists. They were mathematicians. This has nothing to do with religion. A lot of people say, oh, that's witchcraft, that's voodoo. It's like, are you kidding me? Have you ever taken a math class? Yeah, this is nothing more than math. And the term numerology is a fairly new term. It came about in the late 1930s to 1940s. So when people say, well, if it's not in the Bible, it doesn't exist. The Bible is full of passages about numerology. It just wasn't termed that then. The Ten Commandments, the disciples' names were changed when they wanted a different frequency. It's all there. And it's amazing because the church that I'm working with in San Diego, it's a Catholic Chaldean church, they put out a little book on the Chaldeans, and it's all right there. The Chaldeans introduced astrology and math way back when. So they were proficient. They understood it. It is a proven science. This is not a joke. It's proven. And how do we send men to the moon? Computer, math. It takes a whole combination. And many people will say to me, well, all you have is a computerized report. I said, you betcha I do, because it's so complicated with all of the formulas. And in order to make sure that I have given you accurate information, because that is the top priority for me, accurate information, and not fly-by-night stuff to make a buck. What happens with that is the computer has to crunch all this data, all this code, everything, in order to make sure that you get the end result. It's not just quote-unquote a computerized program. It's everything you need to know. So I kind of chuckle when people say that, and it's like, yep, well, everything runs on a computer. All companies run on computer. Look at what just recently happened with Sony. I mean, all of their data, everything, people hacked into it to get data, IP, secret stuff. I mean, it's amazing. So you have to have a computer that moves data around in order to produce the end result, which I do.
My goodness, Joanne, that is amazing. And I know how true all of that is because you actually did a program with me. And I'm blown away by the absolute. It's just, and it is very accurate. And all the things you've told me is just very amazing. So you're speaking about everybody's blueprint, and I wonder. I'll ask you first how when you're out of balance with yourself, and of course here I'm talking about mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. When one's doing not enough and the other one's doing too much, we're out of balance with ourselves and the universe. So when you are feeling that way, what method, what way do you get yourself back on track?
For me personally, I meditate, I exercise, I change the channel. When you've had too much of something, you need to move away from whatever it is that you're working on. You need a breather. And I turn up the music. Everyone needs creativity to balance the heavy mind, the intellectual mind. Creativity is actually where you come up and you cook up all these beautiful ideas. That's your whole body changes, the chemistry changes, your brain is unlimited. When you're an intellectual and when you're in that cocoon of over-analyzing something, it's very, very limiting. That's not where you want to be creative. You need the balance of the two. You need physical fitness. You need creativity to balance the heavy brain. And so I tell people all the time, especially when I see their numbers and I see how brilliant they are, because in the chart, it gives a rating for your intelligence. And people who have a rating of, say, for 3 or 4 are photographic. They have a photographic memory. They're brilliant. They see visions. There are certain numbers that mean certain things in the chart. So it tells a story about someone. And when I have the privilege of doing your reading and understanding your story, then I can make recommendations for all the things that I know and references that I use for other people. What I do is I'm presenting you a story about yourself. And when you see the big picture, of who you really are, it all falls into place. And people will say, how come I didn't know that? Because I'm a master at this. I'm an expert at this. This is my life's work. I know every aspect of you, and I don't even know you. That's the beauty of this, because I'm channeling, I've generated the information you've given me. You're tagged with a name and a birth date. I don't care about time. That doesn't factor into numerology. But those two components, Greg Braden has a book called The God Code. The code that we all have, and I refer to as the God Code Blueprint, is the code that we were given with the name and the birth date. It's a secret code that nobody knows about, or very few people know about. But when you crack the code and you see how you're wired, this is a beautiful thing, because couples come to me, and when I'm doing a reading for both of them, the man will say, honey, why didn't you tell me that? And vice versa. It's like, well, I didn't know that. I didn't know I reacted because I'm afraid to hurt your feelings and I'm afraid to confront. You can't have intimacy if you can't confront with a partner. You have to put all your cards on a table, and you have to be quite honest if you really want that height of passion and everything else that comes with the right relationship. So when you have a better understanding of self and you walk away, and I give them a list of what I would recommend that you work on first, because lots of times people are overweight, for example, and I'll ask them that question. And when they are, I say, okay, great, go sign up for fitness, because the first thing you're going to see is looking better and losing the weight, feel better about yourself. And then we start on, if you can't confront or are afraid to speak up, go take a class in Toastmasters in public speaking. And most everyone says, because I did originally too, is, oh, that really is scary. Yeah, if you want to get outside of your box of comfort and push yourself to the next level, you have to make an effort. To get something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. You have to make an effort in a brand new direction in order to go forward. And you cannot go forward in life until you get sick and tired of being sick and tired of that old program. It is not going to happen. And when you do and you surrender and you're ready to go, look out. Nothing will stop you. So it's important to know this is a GPS roadmap for your entire life. You can pick this blueprint up, because I have age cycles in my blueprints, and know at any point in time what you should be working on, what you're not working on, and how to put all the pieces together. I am working with you from the inside out. I don't care what you look like from the outside. To the outside world, that's the smile, that's the confidence. It's the little girl and the little boy that's crying on the inside that I want to get to, because that's the true core of the individual. And that's who I can help, not the outside, because that is superficial. It's the inside. I'm not a therapist. I'm a master intuitive numerologist. I read frequencies. I read energies. And then I put it together in a story. And I'm constantly asking, like I did with you, with your reading, is this correct? And you corrected me in some of the statements I made. And then I went back and asked you the question differently, so that we were on the same program, and that there are a lot of pieces, moving pieces, and maybe not all of them apply to you, but I'm going to nail it till I get the right answer. And I'm not going to stop until I get the right answer. And we move on from that to make sure that I've given you what you needed for that particular area that we are discussing.
And that was what I loved too, Joanne, when you see it. You know the story, and then you prompt people to move on, and you prompt them how they can move on. Of course, it's up to the people then to decide, are they going to go and learn how to speak in front of people, and that's the prompting, I suppose, that people need sometimes to get out of the box, to get,
exactly.
Yes. And so, Joanne, how do you choose to express and experience your abundance and your joy and your energy? You've got vital energy. It's just beautiful to see it. So how do you choose to present this to the world, to experience it within yourself first?
I think, first of all, is I love myself. I'm very happy with myself. It starts with self-awareness, self-appreciation, the gratitude. I have all that. I've been through hell and back in all my experiences, and it's really given me the most compassionate space and time where I am now. I love my family. I love people. I stop and help people all the time. But I've also learned along the way is a period in time when I started my business, I gave away all my work. And I realized that the way the universe works is you give, you have to receive. But if you're not on the receiving end, the cycle gets broken. It's not correct. So for me, I give more than what I believe that I'm charging for my pricing. I give a lot more. For example, if I'm in the middle of a reading and I've sold a package that has a 30-minute reading and I'm right in the middle of it and this person is really, really hurting, sometimes I go an hour and a half, 2 hours, which is really too long for some people because they can't handle the magnitude of the data. But I record it so they can always go back and replay it. So I'm always giving, but I'm also receiving now because it takes the two parts to make the whole. So I do a bunch of different things, and it's always different based on the day, based on the people I'm interacting with. I never know who calls me. I deal with people all over the world, and I deal with healers all over the world, and it's amazing the information that is transmitted to me on a daily basis that then I turn around and transmit to other people. And usually they're really good recommendations, they're resources. It's like building a chain link fence. You keep adding more and more and more to it, and eventually you have what you desire. And I'm doing the same thing. So I react differently based on the day and time, but I know that I never worry about money. I want to be clear on this one. Money is nothing more than a frequency that brings you freedom. Freedom to choose, freedom to give, freedom to experience life. So when you clutch your fingers and say, I don't have enough, you keep looking at your checkbook. You're not going to have enough. Let it flow. So I am at the stage of the game where I don't even look at my checkbook. I know money comes in, money goes out, but more money is coming in all the time because I have a different attitude about money. A lot of people come in with a lack mentality like I did. My mom came in from the Depression. She had a really, really hard time. Everything is about, traveling 15 stores to save 10 cents. I was raised with that, and that's really, really hard to get through that in a lifetime. You got to do a lot of personal development to eradicate that from your life. And until you do, you have that lack mentality. How can you think that the law of attraction is going to work for you? Because the minute you're negative, it cancels everything out. And affirmations, in my opinion, don't work because you have to know how to ask for something. You have to have the gratitude and appreciation for everything that you have. It may not be everything that you want at the moment, but every night, this is going to sound crazy, first of all, I bless all the equipment I have because I have a lot of equipment to run my business. I'm grateful to have been able to afford all this. I'm grateful for all the people, my family, in my life. I'm grateful for everything I have. It's a long list, and I go to bed being grateful. Now, does that mean I want more? Of course it is, because the more money I make, the more freedom I have, and the more I can do to help others. And my mission, I come from the corporate world of 24 years. So when somebody says, I want to start a business, and I'll say, okay, do you have a business plan template? And they'll say, I don't even know what that is. Okay, I'm going to send you a business plan template, and they'll say that they need something else. Okay, awesome. I got more documents than Carter has liver pills. So this isn't just about a reading for me to that individual. It's about making sure that when you leave and we say goodbye, you have everything, all the tools you need before you leave. So for me, I know I'm giving 200%. And that makes me feel good because that is what my job is serving mankind. And my last pinnacle in life is all about service to mankind. Now, there's a difference between serving mankind and saving mankind. I'm not out to save anyone. I'm out to serve, and I want a personal life. So you need balance between what you're doing in a personal life, or you get upside down, out of sync really easily, and you don't want to do that. You need to have that personal life as well as the professional life in order to have full balance.
Yes. That what I loved, Joanne, was when you said, let it flow.
Yes.
not only let the money flow, but let the abundance flow, let the joy flow, let your love flow, and that's what you're doing. That's how you're presenting, or that's what the world is getting from you, because this is what you're giving to the world. It is just lovely. And so, what are you most excited about right now?
What I'm excited about is I know the universal energy is changing. I know there's a lot of disruption. I know there's a lot of evil things going on. There has to be a purging or a cleansing to eradicate all this.
Yes.
We have to go through it. And as human beings, it's very, very difficult to watch slaughter, to watch what's going on in the world. It's really difficult for me to watch the news. At the same token, as I will share this story with you, is I've had a death experience in this lifetime. I was sent to the other side, and it wasn't my time, so I was sent back. The difference between being here and there is very simple. Here we have a body, we can communicate, we're human beings. Over there, it's the same process, the same program, without the body. So when you come back in, you come back into a body, which allows us to communicate and to be on planet Earth. When you come back from an experience like that, whether it's near death or whatever your circumstances might be, you come back with more gifts, more talents. There's a reason for that. Again, it wasn't my time. I had 2 small children. I had to finish raising my children and develop myself in such a way that I can be more integrated as a human being to then have a better effect on my clients, because it was all part. I never understood, how did I get where I started? I started off in a marriage. I got a divorce. I had 2 small babies. I had really no talent at the time. I was really lucky. I worked really, really hard in the corporate world. I was very successful because people didn't know I was intuitive. You never want to tell anybody when you got an extra gift or two, because then, you let the cat out of the bag. And so I always was the idea man. I always came up with things, and people could never understand it. They didn't know I didn't have a pedigree. I didn't have a master's degree. I don't even have a BA. I have a 2-year degree, because I was a single parent raising twin boys, and I always tried to go back, but because I was always on and off an airplane, and I was the main support of my children, I couldn't do that. But what I have, and I would never trade this for any type of degree, I have a master's degree in the thorns of experience, and you can't top that. And I will tell you this, is I have twin sons. They're 38, tall, dark, and handsome, photographic memory, genius IQs, brilliant, and they think I fell off the slow-moving turtle. They tell me all the time how smart they are, and that I'm not as smart as they are. We get in a kind of like a joking manner. I wouldn't trade what I have for what they have, because they haven't gone through this fullness in life yet. They've got a lot more experiences to go through. I've already been there, done that. I have a check mark in the box. I love where I am, because I know that the best is yet to come. And it's really comforting to know that I am no different than any of you out there. I had to go through my experiences. I started at age 9. Now, some people start early, some people start in the middle of life, and some people start at the end of life. It doesn't much matter. You come in as a student of life for divine grooming. And regardless of what you choose and do, it's all about putting a check mark in the box, overcoming those difficulties, and moving on, and being more gracious and grateful for where you are. And when you see a person shine and they have a lot of energy and they're really, really excited, you know darn well that they have traveled a long journey.
And I love to hear you say, I love where I am now. I do too. This is the greatest time of my life right now. It's just so wonderful. Joanne, this has been just so amazing, this whole interview. Just before we finish, is there anything else that you would like your listeners to know?
Yes. Fear will close all your doors down while desire opens them. You have to get so sick and tired of being sick and tired before you move forward. So don't beat yourself up over the fact that you need to get out of a relationship. You need to change jobs. You need to do something. Lots of times we're stuck because of finances, health, family responsibilities. You can't always, fast forward when you want to. And it's important to know that these challenges are really opportunities for personal development and growth. And when you get through them, maybe you don't want, like I can tell you, I would not want to repeat where I've been. But I'm so grateful for where I've been, because look at all the people I can turn around and educate and help as a result of my journey. And that's really what it's all about.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh, well, Joanne, thank you so very much. I know your listeners are going to absolutely get so much out of what you've been saying. And I hope now that they will be able to get in touch with you. And all the very best now, Joanne.
Thank you, and you as well. I love your little book. There's nothing better than a rags to riches story, so to speak, where you started, where you traveled, and the end result. And now you, as a result of all your experiences, can motivate people, giving lectures, writing other books. You put it in words so people can read it. I mean, they can travel. All they have to do is order the book. They can be anywhere in the world and get this knowledge and data. And it's so valuable to continue with your work, because you have so much to say. You have the wisdom. You have the experience. And that's really what it takes. Somebody who's already walked their talk.
Yes. Thank you so much, Joanne.
You're